Hello everyone. If you're preparing for the UK GCSE maths exam, one of the most useful tools you will get in the exam is the formula sheet. More formulas, particularly for the foundation level, were provided during COVID, and these will be available on the sheets at least until 2027. Here are 5 key points that can come from knowing what formulas will be given. So the first point is that it's more support and less stress. With the formula sheet being expanded, there's less pressure to memorize everything. This is a huge relief, especially when you're already juggling a lot of topics. Having that extra support can really reduce exam stress. Understanding is far more important than memorizing, so I'm all in agreement with having formulas available. I hope it continues well into the future. That brings us on to point 2, greater coverage of topics. You can rely on the sheet for a broader spectrum of topics, like more advanced geometry or trigonometry formulas that you might not have felt as confident about. Whether you're dealing with algebra or area and volume formulas, the sheet can now provide greater coverage to help you tackle all these, making the exam less overwhelming. And this brings us on to point 3, which is the fact that it will boost your confidence. Knowing that you've got the formula sheet in front of you during the exam means you don't need to panic about memorizing every single formula. Just knowing it's there can really help you stay calm and focused. Point 4. Perhaps one of the most important tips is that you spot connections between different topics. For example, you'll see how algebra connects to geometry, or how trigonometry works with Pythagoras' theorem. This will help you solve tricky problems with more confidence. Let's look into this a bit more. Okay, let's have a look at this foundation tier insert formula sheet. So what we've got, first of all, if you have a look at this, we've got the perimeter, area and volume. So they give you the area of a trapezium, half a plus bh. Okay, but it can also be used if you couldn't remember the area of a triangle. Put a triangle down. There's our base at the bottom, and a is just 0. So what you could say is half. A disappears, so you've got b times h. And that can remind you that it's half the base times the height. You could also use it for, believe it or not, a rectangle, or even a parallelogram. I'll let you work that out. Volume of a prism, cross-sectional area and a length, times its length. Usually they show the diagram, but they haven't this time. So that's the area times by its length. Okay. Now this, years ago, you always had to remember these. Circumference of a circle, 2 pi r or pi d. Area of a circle, pi r squared. Also before, you had to remember Pythagoras' theorem. This was always a memory job, this one. So that's something you'd have to worry about. Now this is interesting. This is where they got sine A equals A over C and cos A B over C and tan A over B. Doesn't come up very often in foundation level at all. I've just been through the papers from 2023 and this never came up at all. So that's the thing. The other thing is, it's normally learnt as SOHCAHTOA, where this would be this is the adjacent and this is the opposite. So why they didn't label the A, at least the this one down here A and this one B, so at least it coincided with the adjacent, I don't know. In their scheme of work, it's shown as opposite and adjacent, and yet here it's shown as A over C or B over C or A over B, which is a bit strange. We've got compound interest, but that's useful, but it's also used for depreciation. And there was a question on the last paper about the population of hedgehogs decreasing from 1 million over 5 years at 4% a year. So that could be used for that. rather than calculate each year and then putting the value in and going down like that. And this is the only bit on probability, and I tend not to use this. Okay, let's look at the higher one as well. So this is the higher tier formula sheet. Let's have a look. Again, same as the foundation level. We've got all this bits exactly the same as foundation level. And the interesting thing is, with the higher level, you would normally always be expected to remember these. They give this was always given before, the solution of quadratic formula. So that's useful to know. Some of the very important things is b squared minus 4ac. If it equals 0, then basically you'll be left with a curve where the curve just touches. If it's less than 0, your curve will be above the x-axis, and if it's greater than 0, you'll have there's the x-axis, and you'll have two roots there and there. Okay. Again, they give Pythagoras' theorem, and normally you would have to remember this. We've got the same thing there where they're not mentioning adjacent and opposite. So I do find that very strange. As before, this was like their own formula sheet. You've got the sine rule, that's useful to know, cosine rule. It'd be very useful to know how to move that around, and I'll give a link to my make an X the subject video. And then we've got this other one, area of a triangle, half AB sine C. So that's thing, and then we've got the same compound interest and probability. And they've also got this extra one here, the probability of A and B, which is basically the intercept. These formulas, I'm not sure how useful they are on probability. What I would probably do is just draw diagrams and go from there. But all in all, it's very useful to have more formulas. Point 5, more time to focus on problem solving, especially during revision. Since you won't be wasting time trying to remember all the formulas, the expanded sheet allows you to use your brain power for the more challenging aspects of study. So long before the exam, you can focus your attention on understanding mathematics and working through problems logically. This is where the real marks come from, being able to apply your knowledge correctly and thinking critically. So the expanded formula sheet helps you work more efficiently, ultimately saving you time and mental energy during the exam. My recommendation is that you take some time to get comfortable with the formula sheet, whether foundation level or higher. It will make a big difference in how prepared you feel for the exam. Thanks for watching, and all the best with your studies. Bye.